Welcome everybody to another edition of TEW 2020 as we continue our WCW 1993 series without Eric Bischoff as we're at WCW Superbrawl. So let's get rolling. Live from Asheville, North Carolina. Just a sort of opening thing here. Most of the booking is largely the same as real life because I felt that like in real life 2 weeks wouldn't be the change to totally change a pay-per-view, but basically this is like the real starting point of where stuff begins to diverge after the show. But I figured we'd get through the Superbrawl, start the aftermath, and then go from there. But hey, it's actually, like, if you go back and look at that show, it's actually a pretty solid show, all things considered. But anyway, let's get rolling here from Asheville. So we start with our little opening video, focusing on the return of Ric Flair and Vader versus Sting in a strap match, and Windham versus Muta for the NWA title. This gets a 69. And then we have our opening match, and about that a decent reaction from the crowd, but subpar wrestling. The Hollywood Blondes defeated Eric Watts and Marcus Alexander Bagwell in 14:22 when Austin pinned Eric Watts with a stun gun. Austin gets a 57, Pillman gets a 72, Bagwell gets a 28, Watts gets a 34. So yeah, not the best match, it gets a 49 overall, but not the worst match either. Gets the Blondes over, and there you go. And then Blondes celebrate, making the title belt motions, and that gets a 66, because these guys are both very, very charismatic. Then we go on to where Hyatt tries to get in Ric Flair's limo. Some people basically drag her away, and then Ric Flair comes out to a big old pop. And this gets a 71. And then we have, in a poor match, Too Cold Scorpio defeats Chris Benoit in 2005 by pinfall with Scorpio Splash. This gets a 31. I really, if I was playing to totally game this, I would have either not done this match at all, or kept it 10 minutes, or done something wacky where they were in a tag match with much more over people. But I figured this is what WCW actually did, so why not actually do it? But regardless, Scorpio got a 50, Benoit got a 38, match over got a 31 because the guys are over. But in real life, I hope this match would have got over in the end as much as it really did in real life. Because again, like in real life, this match was started to basically silence from the crowd because it's two people they barely knew. But by the end, they were really into it. But regardless, in this, it gets a 31. And then Too Cold Silverman gets a 44. We have basically British Bulldog making his entrance. This gets a 54. And then in a complete squash, the British Bulldog defeated Bill Irwin in 421 by pinfall, running power slam. This gets a 40. Bulldog gets a 71, and Irwin gets a 41. And there you go. And then basically Bulldog does a promo after the match with Tony, where he challenges, Vader. And this gets a 64. After this, we have Orndorff doing a pre-match promo when Cactus Jack attacks him and begins the Falls Count Anywhere match early. This gets a 57. And then, in a decent match, Cactus Jack defeated Paul Orndorff in a 1-on-1 Falls Count Anywhere match in 12:05 by pinfall the double arm DDT. This gets a 60. Jack Cactus gets a 47. Orndorff gets a 62. And again, if anybody hasn't seen this show, I actually go back and watch this Falls Count Anywhere match, because for 1993 WCW, you wouldn't think a Falls Count Anywhere match involving Paul Orndorff would be any good, but it's actually really solid and fun. And of course, Cactus Jack dies for everybody's sins. But yeah, anyway, Cactus Jack wins in the end, hitting the double arm DDT after Orndorff is preening going for a pile driver, but Cactus Jack fights back. And then Cactus Jack celebrating gets a 58. Then we have, in a decent match, the Rock and Roll Express defeated Heavenly Bodies in 12:28 when Morton pinned Tom Pritchard with a diving crossbody. This gets a 59. Stanley gets a 57. Pritchard gets a 45. Kissman gets a 56. Morton gets 62. So in real life, basically what happened here was there was a sort of SMW Smoky Mountain WCW relationship, but it ended when Bill Watts was fired. But, who knows? I'm not Eric Bischoff. I don't think Smoky Mountain Wrestling is terrible Southern terrible Southern wrestling for rednecks that isn't okay for a national audience. So who knows? This might just continue. Regardless, this gets a 59, and the Rock and Roll Celebrating gets a 57. Next up, in a bout that had a decent reaction from the crowd, but subpar wrestling, Dustin Rhodes defeated Ron Simmons in 12:01 by pinfall, the Running Bulldog. Rhodes makes defense number 1 of his U.S. title. Rhodes gets a 40. Simmons gets a 56. And yeah, overall this gets a 41. The one thing is this isn't the brand new thing. This is a kind of older mod, and I'm kind of questioning some of the stats that's given to some of these lurkers. Rhodes, it said was couldn't work a 12-minute match. He didn't have the stamina to do that. Let's be honest, Rhodes in 1993 wasn't the fully formed wrestler he was even by 95 or 96, but he could work a 12-minute match. So same thing, I might do a little adjustment to the stamina. Anyway, this gets 41. Perfectly, not terrible. And then Rhodes and Simmons, after a moment, shake hands. This gets a 57. And Ric Flair makes his return, gets a 79, and takes a seat at the commentary table beside Tony and Jesse. And a bout that had great heat and good wrestling, Barry Windham defeated the Great Muta in 1440 by pinfall with the Superplex. Barry Windham wins the NWA World Heavyweight Title. So this is the one match where I sort of did make a change from real life. In real life, this went 24 minutes and was really damn slow. However, just in reality, Great Muta was off his game. So Windham gets a 74, Muta gets a 64. So yeah, not the greatest match, but a pretty solid match. And then afterwards, Flair tries to put the belt around Barry, but Barry basically pushes him away. This is what happened in real life. Gets an 86. And hey, it's a good thing Ric Flair is back looking at these ratings, isn't he? Yeah, it's a good thing. Regardless, Flair gets an 8. Yeah, so this sort of, maybe Flair's interested in going after an NWA title for another world title reign for him. Then we get a White Castle of Fear recap, which gets an 85. And then in the strap match, gets a 79. An exceptional match, Big Van Vader defeats Sting in 1933 when Vader was the first to touch all corners. Vader gets a 91, Sting gets a 90. Again, I just implore people, go watch this match. It is fucking awesome. Like, it is a fantastic, like, you want a big man versus small man battle, there you go. But yeah, this gets a 79. And it finishes show out, which gets us a 76. So show lost its popularity in 2 regions, which I'm guessing is the Mid-Atlantic and the Southeast, but it gained our popularity everywhere else. So not too bad. So Ric Flair, Sting, Big Van Vader. We'll see what the mail looks like, and then we'll go from there. And as this goes through, take a second. So, like, a perfectly solid show. Like, again, like, I was, like, they're the problems of, like, real life. So, okay. I mean, that isn't untrue, Leon, but you don't have to put it like that. So, Superbrawl got a 74 buy rate and 1.0 TV rating. Okay, and Muta's gone for WCW due to loan period ending. Okay. Let's see here. Storylines. Cactus Jack. I mean, this basically ended in real life, but they still have one more match because of the TV title. We have Dustin versus NWA Title, which I will go ahead and add Ric Flair to. And then we'll go from there. So yeah, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to at least book the week after. Probably the first 2 weeks of WCW after this, where as we begin the push to Slamboree, which if we look at our calendar, will be in May. And also, I'm going to go ahead and remove this random event the game created, and this random event the game created. Anyway. So yeah, Orndorff has more issues because I had him dropped to Cactus Jack, but, what can you do? But yeah. So I'll be back in a second with Saturday Night. Alright, time for the first Saturday Night taping after Superbrawl, so let's get rolling. So we start the show with pictures from Superbrawl, because we gotta sell that replay, brother, and that gets a 68. And then we go to the opening, where the announcers hype the TV title match tonight between Johnny D. Bad and Steven Regal, and along with the British Bulldog in action, when Dusty Rhodes comes out and announces that he's joining the announcing booth. This gets a 64, and this is totally isn't because Ventura and Schiavone have bad chemistry in this save. Not at all. Anyway, this gets a 64. Then we go to our opening match, where in a bout that didn't have much heat and terrible wrestling, Shane Douglas defeated Rick Thames in 355 by pinfall with not the Pittsburgh plunge. This gets a 22. Douglas gets a 42, Thames gets a 30. And then afterwards, the Blondes jump Douglas, and it looks like they're going to go for a spike pile driver, but Steamboat makes a save. And this gets a 60. Solid stuff. Just building up that feud, Then we have a one-man gang hype video, as, he's in the tough city streets of Chicago, and now he's coming to WCW, and that gets a 53. And then in a bout that didn't have much heat and terrible wrestling, Tex Slinger and Shanghai Pierce defeated Eric Watts and Marcus Alexander Bagwell in 6:27. When Salinger pinned Eric Watts after using a foreign object, this gets a 28. Salinger gets a 33. Pierce gets a 33. Salinger gets a 27. Bagwell gets a 34. Watts gets a 40. And this gets a 28 overall. And that's basically the official end of the Watts and Bagwell team. And the heel celebrating gets a 31. Then we have a post-pay-per-view promo from Cactus Jack, but he's saying, Paula, I'm not done with you yet. We still got a TV title tournament match to go, so that means I get to kick you from one end of Atlanta to the other one more time. Bang, bang. So it's a 52. Then in a match gets a freaking 17. Max Payne gets a 51. Mike Thorpe gets a 27. And yeah, overall gets a 17 because Payne's not over enough to be considered important at all. And then Payne, keeping the painkiller on, gets a 37. And then in a decent match, the British Bulldog defeating Rip Rogers in 5:58 by pinfall with a military press slam. So this gets a 56. Bulldog gets a 70. Rogers gets a 36. And then Bulldog promo as he calls out Vader again, and that gets a 66. And then we move on to a Scotty Flamingo video where he announces the debut of the Flamingo Inn next week on Saturday night, where he'll be talking to the biggest stars of World Championship Wrestling. This gets a 37, and yeah, this is just a way, because, I've re-signed Flamingo. I'm not quite sure what to do with the future Raven quite yet, so I figure a nice little interview show will be something to keep him occupied until I figure out a better angle overall for him. And then, in a decent match, Jim Neidhart defeated Brad Armstrong in 7:54 pinfall and Advil Fentner. Neidhart gets a 54, Brad Armstrong gets a 57, overall gets a 45, and then Neidhart celebrating gets a 53. And then we have a Steven Regal promo where, he basically does his heel promo where he talks about being, disgusted by men like Johnny B. Bad, and that's why, he's going to wipe him off of the wrestling mat tonight and move on in the TV title tournament. And in the match, and about that decent reaction from the crowd with Subpart Wrestling, Steven Regal defeated Johnny B. Bad in 12:42 by pinfall, illegally using the ropes for leverage. Back and forth match. Regal gets some sort of, wacky roll-up to get the victory and uses the ropes to get the pin. And this gets a 43, Regal gets a 42, and Johnny B. Bad gets a 48. Okay, yeah. And then Regal celebrates, but Bad turns him around and knocks him out with a punch, and that gets a 42. And then we have Ric Flair returning to center stage. He brushes off questions about a match with Windham. He brushes off about, reuniting with Arn Anderson. Missy Hyatt tries to get an interview with him, and, he walks away from her. And that gets a 63 overall. And then we have a JYD promo, which gets a 73, which basically, says, people may give me no shot against Vader tonight, but I'm all heart. I'm going to do the absolute best I can against this bad man, because, I'm a bad man too. Just a quick short promo to set up our TV main event, which gets a 50 because, it's JYD in 1993. But in a fantastic heat and great wrestling, Big Van Vader defeated Junkyard Dog in 7:47 by pinfall the Vader Bomb. This gets a 50. Vader gets a 92. JYD gets a 60. Tiring. Let's see here. Was there anything else really going on except the tiring? Inconsistent stamina, declining lack of selling, announcer chemistry, low experience, and lack of associated storyline. Okay. But afterwards, Vader hits JYD with the big Vader splash, and looks like he's going to hit him again. When he said he took the promo, says, that he, I feel no pain. I feel no pain. I'm Vader. I took out Sting. I'll take you out too, Bulldog man. And then Bull comes out. We have a stare down, and then we have a, WCW officials getting between everybody as, the show ends. And overall, we get a 59. So not our best show, but, stuff happens. So we'll be back in a second with the Power Hour. Okay, now it's time for the Power Hour, which would air the week of after Slamboree, so let's get rolling with that. So we start the show with the announcers hyping TV title tournament, and this is JYD action, but I forgot JYD isn't basically contracted for B show, so that's really Too Old Scorpio. That gets a 46. And then about didn't have much heat in Terrible Wrestling, Z-Man defeated Rick Thames in 5:55 by pinfall the super kick. This gets a 39. And then Z-Man Celebrating gets a 41. Then we have the same one-man gang video as from Saturday night. It gets a 55. And then, and about that, a decent reaction from the crowd, but subpar wrestling. The Rock and Roll Express defeated Tex Salinger and Shanghai Pierce in 757 when Ricky Morton pinned Salinger with a diving crossbody. This gets a 55. And then the Rock and Roll Celebrating gets a 62. From the pages of WCW magazine goes over Flair returning WCW, and Sting and Vader having their strap match, and British Bulldog debuting. That gets a 71. And about the match sheet in Tribal Wrestling, Too Cold Scorpio defeated Mike Thor in 542 by pinfall of Scorpio Splash. This gets a 28. Scorpio gets a 44. Thor gets a 26. And then Too Cold Celebrating gets a 50. We have a short 1-minute segment hyping a Missy Hyatt calendar, which gets a 49. And then our main event of the evening, which is a semi-final match in the TV title tournament. Well, first we have a Vinny Vegas and Max Payne in-ring where Vegas tries to talk Max into just, laying down. Says, come on, bro. Come on, buddy. We don't have to fight. We're both cool dudes. Your card looks awesome. I'm a big guy, so let's not just do this. Max hits him, and the match is on, so it gets a 51. And then in a about that decent reaction in the crowd, but subpar wrestling, Vinny Vegas defeats Max Payne in 1041 by pinfall of the foreign object. I imagine this is actually just snake eyes on an exposed turnbuckle. So Vegas gets a 49, Payne gets a 48. And then Vinny mockingly plays the guitar, which gets a 61. So overall, we're looking at a 53. Let's go finish this show, see if we have any news. And then we'll go ahead and book the other Saturday night. Well, actually, this might actually be a shorter. Shorter video. Then we can go ahead and move on to basically every 2 weeks up until Slamboree or something like that. I might just have to think about that. Regardless, let's see here. Okay. Oh, right, because he has, right, okay, I forgot the ECW was part of the NWA at this point. So let's just look at the news real quick. We got a Bret Hart versus Mr. Perfect feud. And we got a Randy Savage versus $1 Million Man feud. Okay. We have ECW. Barry Windham defeating Jimmy Snuka in the main event, which got an 88. Okay, that's just stupid. And Sandman defeating Kid Kong Buddy in a first blood match. I mean, what's insane is I can sort of see that on an early ECW show. And the rest of it is Glenn Osborne between, this most of the stuff I can see on an early ECW show. But yeah, as far as storylines, so yeah, I went ahead and added Davey Boy to the World Title feud. I set up an NWA Title feud between Windham and Flair, so we got that going. Let's see here. Morton and Gibson both have one appearance left. Warren Griffith morale issues, yeah. Eric Watts has big morale issues, but guess what? I don't care. Bye-bye, Eric. Your daddy's not around to save you anymore. But yeah, I mean, as far as what's going on, like I said, if we go over the titles real quick, U.S. champion is still Dustin Rhodes. I have a kind of an idea what to do for his next feud, but Rude will be back in basically, I think it's a month and a half, so obviously we'll be talking about that. World TV, again, is still vacant. Vinny Vegas is the first finalist. Steven Regal is in the semifinal. And then we have Cactus Jack versus Paul Orndorff in the other semifinal. Other quarterfinal except the last semifinal. World Tag Team Champions are Steamboat and Douglas, but Hollywood Blondes really want to, get a chance at that belt. And of course, our World Heavyweight Champion is still Vader. And yeah, so again, I mean, this is all stuff that's fairly obvious. So I've got Jackaroo coming in to be doing an evil foreigner gimmick, which I might turn into a what we'll call a nationalist gimmick eventually. One Man Gang is coming in as One Man Gang. Chris Champion currently says he's coming in as one old school face. I may have another idea for him, and we also got Sid coming in because he's Sid, and it's 1993 WCW, and you can't have 1993 WCW without Sid, really, can you? Merch wise, we got Flair, Sting, Steamboat, Dusty, Vader, Bulldog. Announcing wise, I might have to actually, because I really think the Shivani Ventura team is hurting things. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to change it to Tony and Dusty. And then on the Power Hour, I'll change it to Eric and Jesse. And we'll see how that does. Because, yeah, I mean, as fun as it would be to just keep Tony and Jesse on, because they were actually a decent team in real life, the game just doesn't want that to happen this time around, unfortunately. You know, stuff happens. But yeah, next pay-per-view is Slamboree. No match is set for it yet, because that's not until May, but, you know, who knows? You know, I mean, you can probably guess a couple matches, and if you look at the real-life card, I'm not going to say nothing from that card's happening, but you never know what will actually happen. But yeah, I think I'm going to cut things out for now. But yeah, starting with the next show, we'll go ahead and, well, actually, let's get to the end of the month real quick. So I'll be back with that in just a moment. So yeah, just to clear things out, Saturday night got a 1.05. Huh? Wait, what? Huh? Hold on. Oh, shit. What the fuck? Hold on. I'll be back in a second. So, folks, yeah, this is the screen here. So I figured out what happened. Basically, what happened here is, as part of like when I was doing this mod, I don't want to say I accidentally screwed things up. So I imported another broadcasting database just for realism's sakes, and I didn't realize it would totally fuck up the media groups, or at least meet some of them. Because if you see like ABC, screwy, CBS, totally okay, MC Reversal okay, but TBS, who we're hired by, is bad. So here's what's going to happen, because I am not the type of person to give up on something easily. So what you're going to see is a slight, basically break here, but when you come back, everything will be a-okay, and we'll be totally fine, and it'll just take me a moment to basically fix everything, at least as good as it is. Unfortunately, what I'll probably do is I'll edit the actual starting point to the beginning of March, and then what we'll have to do is I'll edit like basically everybody's popularity up a notch, and then I'll fix the back end and then go from there. Yeah, so again, this is why you double check mods and let them run it, like go do a test run to see if nothing wacky happens. But anyway, be back in just a second with our totally fixed thing here. So folks, the good news is that I basically saved the Fed by basically redoing the back end again, fixing the back end so the company won't go out of business the first month it goes to April. So yeah, I mean, I'll get a whole new set of owner goals, and I'll have to restart this upgrade of the merch, and have to resend people to developmental, but you know, shit happens. What can you do? I also have to like fix all these very fun events again, but again, not the end of the world. So yeah, again, moral of the story, actually do a quick test of whatever wacky, very, very, very wacky mod you're deciding to use before you actually do anything with it. So regardless, again, this is actually it for now. Yeah, I mean, I've basically redone the storylines that existed and mattered. All the titles are the same, so that's not the end of the world, except I made sure Barry had the NWA title. But yeah. So again, now we're actually done. Again, you saw what happens when you don't double check those fun mod stuff. But anyway, that's all for now. So if you go ahead and like this, go ahead and give it a like. Comment below what you're liking and don't liking, and subscribe to the channel for lots of more fun TEW 2020 content, including this, my MLW Ruthless Aggression series, my Global series, my women's wrestling wrestling in 2010 series, and of course my long-term, never-ending 2001 WCW, now WCW 2003, where I have to submit your awards up for that. So if you've been watching that, go ahead and follow the link in one of the WCW 2003 videos and vote on that. Otherwise, enjoy what I'm doing. That's all for now, so talk to you later, and adios.